All right, let's take a look at number 1 here. Which graph represents the curve given by the equation x equals 3t with a parameter of t equals square root 2y minus 8 all over 3? So obviously this one, it tells you what type of problem it is. What's our word here that they use? Parameter, yeah. And what I want to point out now on your packet as we get started here, if you go to the very end, well, not quite the very end, right before the formula chart, I gave you a cheat sheet that walks through how to do the 28 types of problems. I'd recommend using this, especially like the night before you take your test, or maybe if you're cramming just, the minutes before the test to kind of go over this. But when we look at parametric, parametric here, I described the type of problems and how many you'll have. What the big key is are these 2 lines on how I threw in here if you wanted to solve, but you can use Inspire, graph entry, parametric to solve these. You might also need trace, but that's how you can do it. So with that, I'll leave that off to the side. I'm going to go to my Inspire, and let's open up and go to new document here and add a graph. Now, how do I get to parametric again?
Graph entry.
Menu, graph entry.
Parametric.
And then we're going to choose parametric. So there it is, number 4. And here's where I run into my first problem. Is it does ask for the x equation, which we have, 3t. But the y equation, we don't know yet. So how do you think we can get the y equation when all I see is this right here? We need to solve for y. So we need to do some opposites here. Do you remember the opposite of this big square root? A square. So we're going to square both sides. So if I square both sides, the square root and the square cancel each other. And so we're left with t squared equals 2y minus 8 all divided by 3. Okay. Now the next opposite, I'm trying to get the y by itself for the equation. What about this division of 3? What's the opposite of that? Multiply. So we're going to multiply by 3. That cancels there. And so I now have 3t squared equals 2y minus 8. We're getting really close. Next opposite. Let's add 8. Question for you. When I add 8, does it combine with this 3? No, because that 3 is not a like term. It has t squared connected to it. So it'll be 3t squared plus 8 equals 2y. And finally, last step. Divide by 2. Now, division works like multiplication. It needs to distribute. So I'm going to divide everything by 2 here. You could break this down if you wanted to. The calculator will do it for us. So I'm just going to type this in. So back on the y equation, control divide, 3t squared plus 8 all over 2. Now, before I press enter, I'm just going to I want to call it cheat. Looking at the graphs, what time values, what interval of time should we use when you look at these? -1 to 3. So go to your time values, change it to -1 to 3. Press enter. And looking at my graph, we can eliminate 2 answer choices now. B and D are certainly gone. These 2 are off. And now I use that second line from the cheat sheet. The first one said to graph it in parametric. The second said to trace it. So we're going to go menu, trace, graph trace. Now, starting at this point, you should, the very first one, it says it's -3, 5.5. You can get the answer from there, but just to make it easier, I'm going to trace it all the way over to the right, hit the right arrow, until I get to the final location at time of 3 seconds. And this makes it really easy to see. We should be at an x of 9 and a y of 17.5. An x of 9 and a y of 17.5 is answer choice A. Let me make it. Here's x of 9 and a y of 17.5. Notice that hits the point over here at this graph. There's x of 9, but that's a y value of 13, so C is also wrong. Meaning A is the correct answer. Questions over that?
A second.